Before we jump into today's episode, I am so excited to be able to tell you that my debut book, Optimal You, Supercharge Your Energy, Strengthen Your Immunity, is now published. Optimal You is a groundbreaking guide uncovering the 8 pillars of health for supercharged energy and strengthened immunity to optimize your health and extend your health span. Delve into evidence-based strategies to optimize nutrition, balance your lifestyle, reduce toxin exposure, and address root causes of health imbalances. It includes a 14-step anti-inflammatory nutrition blueprint to supercharge your mitochondria and fortify your immune system. Plus, you get my 4 lifestyle S's: sleep, stress, strength, and social, that form the foundation of optimal well-being. On top of all that, when you buy the book, you get access to a special area on the website that gives you all the resources, plus recipes and guides that we talk about within the book. You can empower yourself with practical tools and insights to embark on a transformative journey towards Optimal You. Head over to optimalyoubook.com to get your copy now, or you can get your copy from Amazon worldwide or your local bookstore. When you've got your copy, don't forget to share on social media, tag me in it at good_health, GOODE, and use the hashtag OptimalYouBook. I can't wait to see what you think of the book, and I really hope that it brings you lots of health and wellness. Now let's head to today's episode.
Welcome to the Good Health Podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Good, a certified functional medicine practitioner, registered nutritionist, and author. In this podcast, we delve into the world of energy and immune health and wellness with positivity, from optimal health and energy to stress and burnout, right through to immune conditions such as thyroid and autoimmune disease. We deep dive into functional medicine, nutritional medicine, and lifestyle medicine, as well as the personal stories of our amazing guests, from Olympians to famous faces and guest experts from all different parts of the health and wellness world. It's time to stop letting your health hold you back and become the optimal version of you. Don't forget to come and join the conversation on Instagram at good_health, that's GOODE, or visit the website nicolegoodhealth.com to find out more.
Welcome back to the Good Health Podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Good, certified functional medicine practitioner and registered nutritional therapist. And today we're diving into a fascinating and often overlooked connection: the relationship between your gut health and Hashimoto's thyroiditis. If you've been diagnosed with Hashimoto's or suspect you may have thyroid issues, this episode is packed with valuable insights to empower you with the right questions to ask your practitioner. So grab a notepad and let's get started. Question 1. Is my thyroid function contributing to my slow digestion or gut issues? So let's look at gut motility. If you've been experiencing constipation or sluggish digestion, your thyroid could be to blame. Hyperthyroidism, of which Hashimoto's is the most common form, slows down gut motility. So essentially, it's like your digestive system is running in slow motion. And this can lead to a buildup of bacteria in the small intestine, which is something called SIBO, so small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And when gut motility slows, it doesn't just lead to discomfort, it can actually increase systemic inflammation, worsening autoimmune conditions like Hashimoto's. So this is that classic domino effect. A sluggish gut leads to these bacterial imbalances, which in turn exacerbates that thyroid dysfunction. So what can you do? Focus on foods that support digestion, like fiber-rich fruit and veg, and drink plenty of water. Get some gentle movement in there, like yoga or walking. They can really help to stimulate motility. And if you're still struggling, ask your healthcare provider about prokinetics. These can be medications, or you can take natural supplement versions, and these can really help to keep things moving. Question 2. Could low thyroid hormones be reducing my digestive enzyme production, and how do we address this? So digestive enzymes are crucial for breaking down the food we need into nutrients that our bodies can actually absorb. And thyroid hormones play a direct role in the production of these enzymes. So when thyroid function is low, your body may actually produce fewer enzymes, and that can lead to symptoms like bloating, food intolerances, or undigested food in your stool. When you don't have enough digestive enzymes, it places extra stress on your digestive system, and this can trigger inflammation, which not only worsens gut health, but is also, again, going to make those autoimmune symptoms and that Hashimoto's more severe. So really important to ask your provider, could those low thyroid hormones be reducing that digestive enzyme production? So what can we do about it? To support enzyme production, eat your meals slowly, make sure that you're chewing your food thoroughly and really helping to kickstart that digestion. You can include fermented foods in the diet, things like kimchi and yogurt can really help as well. And if symptoms persist, make sure that you speak to your provider. They may recommend a digestive enzyme supplement to help support your gut. Third question to ask your practitioner: is my gut microbiome contributing to my thyroid issues? And should I consider a microbiome test? So the gut microbiome is a game changer when it comes to thyroid health. Your gut bacteria helps to regulate your immune system, which is crucial for anyone with an autoimmune condition like Hashimoto's. An imbalanced microbiome can really increase that gut permeability, commonly referred to as leaky gut, and trigger that systemic inflammation, again worsening those thyroid symptoms. So when people join my thyroid program, they have the option of taking one of these 3-day comprehensive stool tests where we can really dig deep into the gut microbiome and find out what's going on. Now, certain strains of bacteria have been shown to actually support thyroid function and reduce inflammation. And research also suggests that having a really diverse microbiome is actually associated with better thyroid outcomes. So knowing what's going on in your gut and looking at the microbiome is really important. To support your microbiome, we're looking at diversity. So aim for a diverse diet rich in lots of colourful veg, whole grains and fermented foods. If you're considering probiotics, look at strains that have specifically been studied for thyroid health. Speak to your practitioner about that. And focus on a diet rich in prebiotic and probiotic foods. So things like garlic, onions and kefir. Avoid processed foods as they can be harmful to beneficial bacteria. And if necessary, talk to your practitioner about tailored probiotic supplements to address any specific imbalances. Question number 4, could an imbalance in my gut microbiome be reducing my active thyroid hormone levels? Here's a really fascinating connection. Your gut plays a role in converting T4, the inactive form of thyroid hormone, into T3, the active form. And this conversion is facilitated by an enzyme called deiodinase, which is influenced by gut health. So if your microbiome is imbalanced or you have chronic gut inflammation, this conversion process can be impaired. And without enough T3, your cells can't properly use the thyroid hormones, even if you're making enough, leading to fatigue, brain fog, and other symptoms commonly associated with Hashimoto's. Things to do to support this conversion: focus on nutrients like selenium, which are really crucial for that deiodinase activity. Brazil nuts are a really great natural source of selenium, but make sure you don't overdo it. So just a couple of those a day is enough. And then plenty of anti-inflammatory foods like leafy greens and omega-3 rich fish are really great choices. And if you're concerned about this conversion process, or you've got your blood results and you can see on those bloods that you're not converting well, then definitely speak to your practitioner about your gut microbiome. Question 5, should I be tested for intestinal permeability, leaky gut? And what steps can I take to heal if it's contributing to my Hashimoto's symptoms? So intestinal permeability, often called leaky gut, is when the gut lining becomes damaged and allows large particles like undigested food or toxins to pass into your bloodstream. And this triggers an immune response that can worsen autoimmune conditions like Hashimoto's. Intestinal permeability has also been closely linked to autoimmune diseases. So when the immune system is constantly having to react to particles that shouldn't be in the bloodstream, it can go into overdrive, and therefore we can get more damage to the thyroid in the process. To help to heal from intestinal permeability, we want to focus on really nutrient-dense anti-inflammatory foods, things like bone broth, zinc-rich foods, and glutamine. Reducing stress is also really essential here, as chronic stress can weaken the gut lining. So work with your practitioner to identify and remove any food sensitivities that might be contributing to the intestinal permeability, and also stress relief management so that we can look at reducing that stress. Question 6. Should I be tested for gut infections, parasites, yeast overgrowths, or other things? And could these be contributing to my Hashimoto's symptoms? Gut infections, this is things like bacterial infections, parasitic infections, yeast overgrowths like Candida. All of these things can significantly impact your thyroid health. And these infections disrupt the delicate balance of your gut microbiome, increasing inflammation and triggering immune system dysregulation. So for someone with Hashimoto's, this can actually exacerbate thyroid dysfunction and autoimmune reactivity. When the gut is compromised by an infection or an overgrowth, the immune system often goes into overdrive to fight off these invaders. And this heightened immune activity can lead to increased production of thyroid antibodies. It can accelerate that damage to the thyroid gland. Additionally, yeast overgrowths like Candida can produce byproducts that can further disrupt thyroid hormone balance and increase symptoms like fatigue, brain fog, and digestive discomfort. Symptoms to look out for if there is a gut infection or an overgrowth going on, maybe things like persistent bloating, diarrhea or constipation that doesn't improve with diet changes, cramping or abdominal pain, unexplained fatigue or weakness, brain fog or difficulty concentrating. Sometimes we see skin issues such as rashes or eczema, sugar cravings as well, very common with yeast overgrowths, or persistent bad breath. The key here really is testing if you suspect that there's an issue. And the beauty of the comprehensive stool test that we do that looks at the microbiome, it also looks at all of these things. So we can also look at those gut infections, those parasites, and those yeast overgrowths in the one test. And this is where the comprehensive stool test really comes into its own. We can also do some specific tests, so things like breath tests for those SIBO, so that's small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or we can do blood tests for some if we need to help identify a further root cause. If a problem is detected, we can use things like antifungals, antiparasitics, and we can use tailored probiotics and gut healing nutraceuticals and supplements to really help to rebalance the gut, fix that intestinal permeability, and remove any of those infections in the gut. While we're addressing infections, it's also really important that we support that gut health with anti-inflammatory foods, so things like leafy greens, bone broths, fermented foods, and we avoid sugar and processed food, which can actually feed those harmful microbes. So it's really important if you've got something like this going on that you do work with a knowledgeable practitioner to ensure that you have a really targeted and also a really safe approach to the treatment in this area. Question 7 to ask your practitioner. Could inflammation in my gut be increasing my thyroid antibodies or affecting my reverse T3 levels? Gut inflammation is a major factor in autoimmune diseases like Hashimoto's. When your gut is inflamed, it can lead to a condition known as intestinal permeability. And this allows those toxins, undigested food particles, and microbes to escape into the bloodstream, as we've already seen. And that can trigger that immune response. So for someone with Hashimoto's, that heightened immune activity often leads to an increase in thyroid antibodies, and that can accelerate the damage to the thyroid gland. Now, chronic gut inflammation doesn't just affect your antibodies, it can also influence your thyroid hormone balance. Inflammation can interfere with that conversion of T4 to T3, which is the active form of thyroid hormone. And instead of converting to T3, more T4 may actually be converted to reverse T3. And that is an inactive form of thyroid hormone that can actually block thyroid hormone receptors. So this creates this kind of double hit. Not only are your antibodies attacking your thyroid, but your body's ability to utilize thyroid hormones also becomes impaired. So signs and symptoms that we might want to look out for in this case, again, persistent fatigue, lack of energy, difficulty losing weight, even if you're eating a really healthy diet and exercising, feeling cold or experiencing low body temperature, hair thinning or hair loss, brain fog and difficulty concentrating, or increased sensitivity to certain foods or unexplained digestive issues. Practical tips here, really reducing gut inflammation is key, but it really starts with identifying and addressing those triggers. And again, this is where that comprehensive stool test is going to come in really beneficial. We can also consider something like an elimination diet to remove those common inflammatory foods, things like gluten, dairy, and refined sugar, which are often problematic for people with Hashimoto's. We want to add in lots of anti-inflammatory foods, so the turmeric, the fatty fish rich in those omega-3s, and the leafy greens into the diet. And you might also benefit from some gut healing supplements, things like glutamine, zinc, carnosine, and probiotics to really help support that intestinal lining. Working with a practitioner to test for those elevated antibodies or reverse T3 levels can often help give you a clearer picture. We can also look at the stool test to look at what's going on in the gut. And what that allows us to do is give really targeted supplementation as well as dietary interventions. And we can then address those root causes to help bring that inflammation under control and restore thyroid balance. So to recap, your gut health and thyroid health are really deeply interconnected. From slow gut motility, low digestive enzymes, and imbalanced microbiome, impaired T4 to T3 conversion, it can all play a role in Hashimoto's symptoms. And the key is to asking the right questions and work with your practitioner to address these root causes. Remember that small, actionable steps like improving your diet, staying hydrated, supporting your microbiome can all make a really big difference. I hope that today's episode has given you some valuable insights into the connection between your gut and your thyroid and given you some questions that you can take away and ask. But I don't want the learning to stop here, so I've created some fantastic resources to help you dive even deeper and take actionable steps for your health journey. So first, be sure to download the top 5 nutrients for gut and thyroid health guide. That is linked below this episode. This guide breaks down the essential nutrients that support both systems, why they matter, and the best food and supplement sources to incorporate into your routine. Next, we've also got a checklist, the questions to ask your doctor or practitioner about gut and thyroid health. It's packed with the key questions we covered today to help you get the most out of your next appointment with your practitioner. For those of you who love an interactive tool, don't miss the autoimmune assessment. You can take that free and it's going to give you a gut score, a thyroid score, as well as a score for lots of other areas around the body. And you can see where you might need to do some work. You can also access our comprehensive stool testing kit. You can book one of those below. We'll add the link in the show notes below this episode. We'll add links to all the resources in the show notes below this episode, or you can visit my website, nicolegoodhealth.com. Taking these extra steps can really make all the difference in optimizing your gut and thyroid health. And of course, don't forget to grab a copy of my book, Optimal You, where we look at the thyroid connections around the whole body, not just to the gut. And there's also a nutrition blueprint in there that you can personalize to your own health needs. If you've liked this episode, please don't forget to subscribe or drop us a review. And if you think there's somebody that you know who would really benefit from it, then please send it over to them. As ever, if you want to reach out, my DMs on Instagram are always open, or you can email me at info@nicolegoodhealth.com. So go ahead, download those handouts, take the quiz, and start asking the right questions to take charge of your own health. I'll see you next time on the Good Health Podcast.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Good Health Podcast. Do share the episode with anyone you think it may benefit, and help us to spread the word on all things health and wellness by rating, liking, or subscribing to the podcast. If you want more, you can listen to more episodes on your favourite podcast app, or sign up to my newsletter for my favourite tips, tricks, health advice, brands, recipes, and more at nicolegoodhealth.com/newsletter. Have a lovely week. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Good Health Podcast.